Yo guys, today we're going to continue watching one of Frey Cheqama's video about the power system, and it seems that this is probably going to spoil Kanto 6. I hope it's not big spoilers. I really hope so. Because I want to experience the game myself. It's just that I just going to build the algorithm so that my content, my Limbus company content, when I really play it, will actually push it to the right audience. So yeah, let's watch it and see what is the power system all about.
Singularities, associations, and workshops decided where power rested in the city. And
Where
then a
power
man
rested?
said, "Let there be light." And
Let there be light.
was so fucking atrocious. I mean, a guy scraped his face on a piano until he killed 300,000 people and inspired a war between edgy band geeks and eldritch book
Okay, I don't understand that.
club. Now, instead of tech bros being the only force in the world, any lovesick puppy having a crash out or anxious postal worker can have the power of God and anime on their side. And the world still hasn't recovered from the consequences. Then a rogue AI decided that it'd be
Rogue
funny
AI?
to do it again, and now we're all eternally coded in sin. And shins.
interesting.
This is what I like to call
Coded into sins, okay? So the light is the cause for why everybody is coded to sin.
a wave 2 of Project Moon's power system, and somehow it's gone significantly better than the first.
Yeah.
I covered this a year ago, back when we only had 6 sins to talk about
Yeah.
and barely anything to say about Shin. And
So we have more information about Envy now?
now we're in dire need of an update since there's plenty more to go over with Shin and how it's related to the 9 sins worth addressing. And if that sounds unbelievable, then clearly we have much to discuss. So hop into the Bakajula wagon, clear your mind, and get comfy as I give you the tour of Project Moon's modern power system. Now, before we dig into the exact
For the recent gameplay mechanics, quote from Kanto 7.5, okay? Limbus Company Kanto 6.
Now, before we dig into the exact mechanics of the Sins, Shin, and Mong, it's important to address that all of these powers are derived from the light. And if you're
Okay, I guess this light is a new information that we just got then.
not caught up about what the hell the light even is, then check out this video since that is a huge topic.
I guess should we watch that or is it spoiler? Someone comment down below. I really don't want to get that much spoilers from Limbus Company because I want to experience the game itself. It's just that I just want, I just want to build algorithm for my, to build my algorithm so that it can push out Limbus Company videos to the right audience.
In itself. But if we're going to discuss Wave 2 of the light's powers, we need to talk about how Wave 1's work first, since
Okay.
all of them relate back to the user's emotional state and,
Yeah, emotional
frankly, their emotional maturity. Now, the first wave of light introduced the city en masse to the distortion phenomenon and ego manifestation. These, again, are topics that deserve their own tour, but for our purposes, it was a power system that a person could only make use of if they faced a hardship that pushed them to their mental brink. Whether it was their family dying right in front of them, or their religion being proven real, and anything in between, any trauma
Terrorism being proven real.
of sufficient impact would put the victim on the radar of a woman named Carmen. And Carmen, bless her heart, tried to help by telling the person to be selfish and act only in their own interests. And should that poor soul accept what she says is true,
So she's kind of like the devil then.
they will distort into a new creature of greater power that's somehow related to whatever they're going through right now.
What
But
the-
if you gave her the old thanks but no thanks and found a different way to steal your resolve, then you'd manifest your own ego in the form of tools on your person. Now,
Oh, that's how it works. So okay, that's interesting. Okay. Interesting. So distortion is obviously is the one that becomes the monster, but that's only when they accept Carmen's, if they accept the apple, in a sense, accept the apple and eat the apple, I guess. They eat the apple, the devil's apple thing from what called Adam and Eve story. But for this one, they didn't eat the apple and use the apple as weapon.
Again, there are a ton of nuances to this power system, including a lot that could happen to you after you distort or manifest ego. But all that's important here is that the pipeline goes human plus trauma equals Carmen. Carmen plus
All Carmen, okay.
yes equals distortion. And
All Carmen plus yes, okay.
Carmen plus no equals ego. And
Okay.
human
That's easy.
plus trauma plus Carmen plus no plus clown plus
What the fuck? Plus Carmen plus no.
yes plus blue
Plus clown, yes, and
plus you give me light, me cry, eat light, me give orange, you give me sunbath, give me filling.
What the fuck?
It's just that simple. In short, Wave 1 is all about power derived from a trauma response in the moment. In contrast, Wave 2's power system is more closely related to someone's day-to-day coping mechanisms, both the good and the bad. In other words, there are ways to access the light without having the worst day of your life. And that is for the better and for the worse.
Is it the ring of light thing? Is the ring of light a way to access to the powers of Shin without trauma?
Let's start with the worse.
What exactly are the sins now?
Now, I made a video last year that touched on this power system, mainly the sins, so like with the light, check that out if you want the full origin story. But enough time's passed that I gotta make some corrections. Because, yeah, we've only been getting solid exposition on city mechanics since Time Killing Time, and there still isn't any official explanation on what the sins are in universe.
Really? Okay, still no explanation?
Hohenheim?
My salamis!
Seriously, I control F to the entire damn intervalo and no definition appears once. But the least I can do is update y'all as the shot gets clearer. Case in point, I said that sins and shin were effectively the same, just with the sins being different flavors of that shin. We'll get into more about shin later, but it's safe to say that while the two are related, it's more accurate to say that the sins and shin are two ways to absorb the light than
Two ways to enter the light. Okay.
being the same energy outright. It'd be like saying distortions and ego are the same thing, or that your stepdad is as good as your first dad. Because unlike your first dad, your sins are always with you. The point is that sins are a form of light that's absorbed by each person over the course of their life and take on different qualities based on the thoughts they have. So when we talk about
interesting.
sin, think of it as talking about energy or electricity. It's a quantifiable resource. And as we can see in every single combat skill the sinners come across, it's virtually impossible to meet a person in the city that isn't colored by them in some way. They're like microplastics. You won't notice them 99% of the time, but scientists say you're eating a credit card's worth of them every week, and not even the Dietchi can beat them out of you. Now, there's currently no way to quantify just how much sin is inside a person or what a lethal dose is yet, but what we do know is that sin is influenced by the person's memories or feelings expressed in a given moment, and that people can be made more or less resilient to certain sins they're exposed to. As shown by the sin resistances across several enemies, there's a trend of people being neutral to all sins until they get exposed to a certain amount of light-related forces. So the closer a person gets to the supernatural, the more the sins start to matter. In fact, there's one instance where your sin can greatly impact the rest of your life. And that's when talking to the Antichrist herself, Carmen. Because before the second wave hit, there were only 2 outcomes of her little talks. But now with the advent of sins, there's a third option. And it's the worst by far. Cause yeah, Wave 2 invented a way to gatekeep distorting. If you ain't even able to process what you're dealing with like a person and are instead consumed by different flavors of sinful thoughts that lead nowhere, then you will fail to even distort, becoming one of these 7 currently known Bicatula. Unlike distortions, which can at least often talk or have some sense of humanity to them, these critters are all aggressive and animalistic. Hell, John Scientist here went as far to say they had no remnants of humanity left within them. And whereas every distortion is unique, every Picatulum we know of is derived from one of the 7 sins. Not only that, but every Picatulum is capable of growing into 3 stages like a starter Pokemon.
Oh, that's cool. What the fuck?
And Dante says that the 3rd stage is the final in their notes, but me and Salami Sam here ain't really buying that it ends like
True, interesting.
this.
Mega Evolve!
Either way, there's a lot more to talk about with the sins now than a year ago. So just like last time, let's update our knowledge on how every sin works. Starting with
Right, fire.
The
Burn.
nature of fire is to burn and burn until there is nothing left to be burned.
Yeah, they sure are mad, aren't they? Wrath is all about anger, the kind that destroys without discretion. And it may have taken until puberty, but its P.E.K.K.A sure got that memo. This beauty's a lot juicier than it looks on the surface. Boiling water coursing through its veins that'll either inject into you as a youngster or ignite into full pillars of fire with its big meaty claws. And of course, this sin is associated with burn. The status is as simple as the sin. Every turn, you take damage equal to the potency, and it loses 1 count. But if we take a look at how the status has evolved over time, PM has leaned harder into this idea of Wrath destroying indiscriminately. The LCE Faust and both Magic Bullet Otis drops are powerful, but can kill themselves or allies. And Fire Fist Gregor, Indicant's Trial Rodion, and even as far back as Liu Ryoshu have effects that spread burn over to several enemies on kill. Hell, the P.E.K.K.A itself gets greater attack weight with enough burn in its 3rd stage. I ain't rating these sins, but if I were eating them, this would be an elegant chili that gets straight to the point and makes me feel like death on the toilet. But, on to more approachable topics.
Loss.
An obsession to spread a fragment of what forms the self. A desire to propagate. To breed.
Propagate? Propagation?
Can I just say, I have learned more about lust ever since being in any kind of gacha community than the previous 90% of my life. And sure, most of that is from the French.
Whoa!
But as we can see in the Cheqama event, lust also refers to any desire to share yourself with others, whether it's in your knowledge, your experience, or just your opinions. And
Oh, that's lust? What the fuck?
when you think about it like that, really every YouTube video you've watched, every essay, every
So that's
tier
lust.
list, every stream is an expression of the creator's lust. And yes, that includes the Salami Sam joke. Have fun with that thought. Unlike Wrath though, there are only 2 current stages of the lust P.E.K.K.A, and considering the way they're going, I'm not sure I'll be able to show the Class 3 version on YouTube. But with what we
Really?
know, the P.E.K.K.A matches this hopeless desire to be close with a literally guarded eye.
I guess I wouldn't. Oh man, but if you're gonna watch it, what do you mean you're gonna show it on YouTube? What the fuck?
That's hiding arms that are either too flimsy to grasp anything or much too unwieldy to grip anything. And now that I've said your activation word, yes, Cromer's entire resonated form matches this sentiment too. Even her
Oh my god.
notorious piercing gaze being something Sinclair identifies in both of the lust P.E.K.K.As. It's really fitting considering that the attempted closeness they seek, even if Cromer's is thinly veiled cruelty, ends in the target being pierced and bleeding. And a character with bleed will take damage every time it flips an
Oh
attack
yeah, it's bleed. I forgot.
coin, effectively punishing it for approaching its target. And as the status has changed over time, the most prominent evolution has been the Blood Feast resource. Because
Blood
what's more
Feast.
lustful than a status that isn't just spread across all units, but steeped into the stage itself? It's even more messed up as you learn that the La Mancha Land IDs get stronger the more people struggle to approach each other. Put all this together, and lust is a strangely cruel sin that begins with the desire to share yourself with others, and results in those involved suffering with every attempt to approach until all that's left is a fine red puddle. Or at least that's what abstinence class taught me in middle school. They also said it would make your piss yellow. You know what else is yellow?
They are directionless and unmoving, completely surrendered to inertia.
And they really said that our job was to kill them as quickly as possible, huh? Sloth. Proof that Luigi winning by doing absolutely nothing is a one-way ticket to eternal damnation. On the surface, sloth would seem like the sin of laziness or lack of attentiveness. But while that is mentioned in the P.E.K.K.A's observation logs, sloth's meaning seems to evolve with every class. In Class 2, Yisong mentions that in the P.E.K.K.A rooting itself to the ground, it's made itself willing to change. But it stays as lazy and barely cognizant even by P.E.K.K.A standards as ever. And Yisong comments that the combination of that willingness to change for the purpose of remaining lazy is a form of resistance.
Oh, okay, interesting. Like, damn. So they want to change, but not because of they want to change because they want to change. They want to change because they want to stay lazy. Interesting. It's a form of resilience. Interesting. I think I heard Betelgeuse in ReZero kind of mentioned it before because, well, it's different. No, it's not resilience. Like for Betelgeuse, even though he is the the Archbishop of Sloth, he is very diligent. Like, most of his lines is related to diligent to being diligent.
Resilience it chooses to have. Then in the Class 3 logs, the P.E.K.K.A's fully ingrained itself into the ground to become this miniature mountain. While this made it stronger and more stable, it no longer wavers or keeps the free movement it used to have. It has resorted to becoming a living obstacle in order to avoid change, barely being considered a human being in its own eyes. So the more this thing evolves, the more it bases its entire existence on becoming immovable. And as a result, the idea of sloth being laziness quickly becomes sloth being inflexible and stubborn. This is why Gregor, Merceau, and Faust were teamed up in the sloth trial in the Cheqama event, since despite being reliable, they're also known for being rigid and headstrong. Well, maybe not Gregor, but you know, he hasn't served the plot much since Kanto 1, so we can call him lazy here. Now, much like its related sin, Tremor has proven to be willing to change in an effort to stay the same. The original mechanic it had of stacking itself to burst on certain moves and up the enemy's stagger threshold has transformed into anywhere from making staggers more impactful or likely, to flat debuffs, to flat out damage, or even a buff that somehow makes you faster because you're supposed to be reversing inertia? And that's not to mention that you can combine
insane.
all the different kinds of Tremor onto an enemy
What the hell is happening with the game mechanic? What the hell? So many.
with superposition if you're smart about it. The main takeaway here is Tremor and Sloth are perfect for explaining that there are a lot of ways to make sure someone you target will sure as hell not get anything done. Hell, there's a reason all T-Corp IDs are Tremor based anyway. Man, we really gotta kill and eat Hubert, huh?
Okay, nice is gluttony.
They are not satisfied with satiation alone. The roots continue to grow, seeking increasingly greater supply of nutrients.
I know! I'm a sucker for big teeth, and this little Venus flytrap animorph will gladly take advantage of that.
Oh, what the hell?
God, what a beauty. Oh, gluttony. Just like wrath, there ain't that much behind those beady little eyes. And just like lust, this sin is all about desire. But instead of wanting to project itself onto others, gluttony is all about taking in anything and everything it can to fill the gaping emotional void within. Whether that's in the form of food, recognition, knowledge, wealth, you name it. Both the sin and these little half-grown suckers here will never be satisfied. Hell, the P.E.K.K.A itself isn't even capable of swallowing whatever it eats. The poor thing just doesn't know what else to do. Speaking of not knowing what to do, Rupture is a status that deals additional damage to those affected by it every time they're hit. And, boy, have there been many a conversation about how Project Moon does not know how to balance it. Despite having more than 1 in every 4 IDs as of writing involve Rupture in some way, this is the only status whose evolution over time has arguably made it weaker instead of stronger.
Oh, it's actually weaker now.
Instead of finding ways to evolve Rupture, the modern changes have been more to restrict it, since Rupture already had the capability to deal massive damage, all because of one little blonde boy with a red sheet who was kind enough to tell you not to come to school tomorrow. Because fast forward 2 years later, and PM had a fling with trying to cap Rupture, tried and failed to get it into an arranged marriage with Bleed, and then decided the blonde boy was better off homeschooled. And if you want to know more about how hard it was to make Rupture satisfying, check out this video. Thankfully though, Season 6 finally gave the community the first true evolution in the form of death rights. While we don't know how far the death right mechanic will go in game, it currently acts as a unique status that's either similar to Rupture or directly supports it. It's a lot like Tremor in that it makes Rupture work like a mark of death. But instead of only having one kind at a time that's simple to keep active, death rights are harder to proc and maintain, yet varying kinds can be stacked at once. So just like Gluttony, it's all fleeting, but you can still get a ton going. Oh, and yeah, there was this one thing I left out of the video last time we talked about Gluttony. Seems like it was pretty important to the lore too, so I know people will get sad if I forget to mention it this go around. Oh, speaking of sad.
Okay,
this go around.
He really didn't say it, okay. I generally don't know what he was about to talk.
Speaking of sad.
Now it's gloom.
The pressure suffocates you from all directions. No matter how much you thrash around, desperately looking for something to grab onto, all you find is futility. Such is gloom.
The art of making people miserable is an elegant one. Anger, jealousy, and panic can all fuel people to take action that has the chance to better their lives. But sadness? Helplessness? Allowing fear to become you? These all have the opposite effect to deprive a person of action. And these are the thoughts related to gloom.
Okay.
Of course, both the P.E.K.K.A. and gameplay of Limbus show how Gloom has evolved beyond melancholy and drowning thoughts over time. The Gloom P.E.K.K.A.
fuck is
starts
the
off
design?
as this gorgeous little water dumpling you could chew on for
Oh my god, what is that design? Holy.
ages, and evolves into a fat,
Whoa.
wet fly that looks like it could reach top speeds of 60 Lexapro prescriptions per hour. And according to its observation logs, even looking at this creature causes the mind to sink lower. All the more so if you come into contact with the water it contains. Naturally, this translates in gameplay to the sinking status in Limbus. Anyone that gets hit while
Sinking.
affected by sinking takes SP damage.
What the fuck? What the? What? I don't remember this effect. Wait, what? I don't remember this sinking.
Or if you're beyond having mental health, gloom damage. And in my opinion, the ways sinking and gloom have evolved mirror each other better than any other sin in the game, because misery loves company. Sure, sinking
oh.
deluge is the quickest way to fashion depressing thoughts into a bomb, but that's old news. Echoes of the Manor and impending ruin both make sinking able to reduce the chance to flip heads on any unit now. And the bygone days ego and the uninvited and butterfly statuses offer a means to make sinking more potent and give some healing to those that inflict it. It effectively
more.
allows the sinners to become emotional blood fiends and heal more the worse the enemy feels. And hey, the P.E.K.K.A. is getting in on this too. Once the amoeba's all grown up, it gets decked out with a signature move that can deal sinking deluge on 3 sinners if you let it. And of course, that comes with a passive that throws sinking at everyone except the most well-adjusted sinner. Because when you're feeling stuck or despondent, sharing your woes can be healthy. But do it wrong, and you're just feeding off of offloading your baggage onto others. Because again,
Interesting. So that's how it works. Okay, so it depends on how you react to gloom. Then how do you react to sadness? And sometimes you react to sadness. Sometimes it can be good whenever you rely on someone, but sometimes it can be bad too.
again, misery loves company. But then we get the flip side in
Pride. Okay.
It oft claims trailblazers, or those who have
Trailblazers? Honka Star Rail?
never tasted failure.
Yo, question to the audience. How many of y'all were gifted kids in grade school? Cause man, we sure had that coming, huh? In Limbus, pride is defined as the thoughts that praise us for who we are and what we're capable of, as well as the thoughts that justify any harm we bring because of how capable we are. Neither Faust nor Hohenheim will let us forget they're both geniuses, or that humanity's pride can be represented by the invention of the wheel. The P.E.K.K.A.'s design also supports this as a large spiked wheel that tramples over anything in its path simply because it can. And the Stage 2 version even has hands to lean further into that sentiment of pride being related to human invention. I'm not entirely sure what we can expect of Stage 3, but my best guess is that we'll see a mutation that pride uses to justify its own dominance. Maybe some kind of armor, or use of tools even to follow the whole invention deal. Either way, much like pride cometh before the crash, poise cometh before the crit.
Oh yeah, poise is the crit.
Frey Verbs 1984. Poise is a positive
that's-
status that gives the user a 5% chance to inflict a critical hit for every potency. So if you get to 20,
I
welcome to
keep forgetting. Oh my god, I need to play it. Then I remember all of it.
Crit City. Enjoy your stay. And over time, Poise has evolved into something like an additive status. Recent IDs have it as that secret sauce that either drips it on top of burn or rupture IDs, or just juices up your crit rate and power so hard that you've got to be nerfed by local gun regulations. Even just chaining Pride and A-Res is starting to become a trademark of the sin too. And especially counting the latest drops, Pride has tried to make a theme out of either killing your allies for permanent buffs, or at least making that a risk of using powerful moves, which, while simple, the evolution of Poise comes down to power creep and more
Oh,
ways
creep.
to reward getting those crits.
Oh really? Oh damn, that's kind of sad.
Which feels fitting for the sin that likes to pat itself on the back. Hell, Pride is even getting into the business of integrating itself into other sins as well, while still keeping its shape. And that's why it's really impressive that Dong Rong, who denies all, ended up not having a single Pride skill, and was still committed to being an entire embodiment of gluttony, huh? See, I didn't forget about him. Just goes to show Pride always takes and gluttony always hungers. Not so shocking, really. But what is shocking is how numb all of you are to being asked to like and subscribe! Like, fuck, it's such a common phrase now that the words have lost all meaning. But here's the thing, I bet I can give you a better reason to press those buttons than just about any other PM creator. Now seriously, hear me out here. It's all by asking one little question. Can you guess how many YouTube videos I've posted in 2025?
No.
Time's up.
Only
Counting
19?
this one, it's 20!
Oh, it's only
And
20?
yet, only about a third of those can be found on this channel. Now why's that? Because while I love my moots, they ain't living with what I like to call rent and bills. So most of my time goes to being an editor for other folks, with the stuff we get here being a second priority. But
Oh, he's an editor for Moss. Okay.
now's the time I want to change that. See, the reason I even started editing for other people in the first place was to afford to be a Limbus creator. But as it turns out, that ship gets rocky. If something happened,
Yeah, Limbus creator is. I feel like it's too niche. It's the same with Arknight's creator, I guess.
like, say, the company that paid your entire living wage shuts down, it means spending 4 to 5 months rebuilding that boat from the ground up. And after going through this slump twice now, I ain't exactly keen on doing it again. But there is some good news. YouTube is actually helping me out a lot more than it did a year ago. And that's in large
Why?
part to the folks that, yeah, liked the video, subscribed to the channel, and especially those that became members or joined the Patreon. Hell, I'm even making more perks for those members because that's
Why is talking about this? I'm here for the content, not for the.
legit the best way a person can not only support me, but the editor. I really want to keep doing right by them. So, look, I know you want to get back to the video, but I ask again, do you want to see more? Because if so, any of these 3 things will help make it happen. Thank you to everyone who supported this channel, even if it was through watching for only a moment. Making these has brought so much joy to my life, and now that we've addressed that, let's talk about the thief of joy.
Envy.
Anyone who's been subject to both static shock and the envy of others must know that the latter stings in the same manner as the former does.
Well, yeah, Boltneck. Don and Easy put it perfectly well that someone getting something you wanted out of nothing but circumstance will put some volts into your system. Such is envy. Now, for a long time, this entire sin was an enigma since we only got the P.E.K.K.A for it about a year ago. And the last time I talked about it, I said that the sin represented the perversion of something wholesome. But now that we have actual observation logs, it's time for another correction. Envy is instead defined by thoughts of one's own inadequacy and lack of self-worth, and the jealousy of others that comes from these thoughts. We can see this especially in
That line reminds me of Subaru.
sinners like Rodion and Heathcliff, because Rodion's entire being is putting up a front of being capable that has a fin's chance in the inferno of fooling anyone. And Heathcliff's own Kanto emphasizes just how much of his own self-worth and desire for revenge influenced not only his own actions, but that of the more evil and freaky doppelganger that wanted to commit mass heathicide. Seriously, I know he's not a P.E.K.K.A since he can talk, but Earl King Heathcliff may be up there with Cromer and Dong Rong for a boss embodying a sin well. But on to the P.E.K.K.As. These suckers are the most unusual of any sin since we can't know what they look like until they're corpses. I mean, they got the beady eye and fleshy tendrils common to their kin, plus the little electric shocks help add to the motif, but any living Invidiae just looks like a sinner in any given ID, complete with all the skills and ego that they could use. It makes me wonder if these fellas are directly formed out of the mirror instead of other people that failed to distort, but I'm not ready to commit to that theory yet. Gameplay-wise, the stronger versions only change by getting a flat armor and damage buff. And envy is most closely associated with the charge status. I use hit charge and charge count by using moves and spend charge count to make others stronger. Simple as. As for its evolution, well, PM finally remembered that charge has a left number too. So modern units will get more charge potency the more they spend charge count, and get some flat buffs as that potency rises. It's kinda cute how much this acts as an inverse to Pride and Poise. Poise easily gets the big left number high and is built off of self-confidence while needing more of the right number, and charge count's like a budding inferiority complex that gets stronger the more you project it. Nature really is beautiful, ain't it? And that's all of the Pacatulan sins we know of as of now. 7 salami slices that represent the human experience and half of the new wave power system.
5, 6, 7.
Except it's not. I'm lying to you.
There's 8 and
Your
9.
trust and goodwill are nothing to me. Black and white slices be upon thee.
My salamis! Also, my name is not Boltneck.
Let's talk about madness and angst. 2 sins that
Still no greed, okay?
have 0 mentions in canon Limbus to date, but still exist in the game's source code. Very little is known about these suckers aside from the fact that they are associated with the colors black and white, and every single time they're referenced, they're shown to do fatal damage to an enemy, or any unit, really. While nothing's confirmed, I expect that these damage values aren't placeholders and are intended to be fatal, so these act as some kind of super sins in a later stage. I mean, it feels more likely than these being added on as the 8th and 9th sins, since that would take massive changes to the UI, ego balancing, and having to factor in the new IDs that got adjusted.
Yeah, that would be insane. It's like Genshin adding a new element. That's how big the change will be.
Generate these as resources. But just for fun, here's an idea on how they could work. Angst being the darkest and edgiest sin could be the worst embodiment of the more destructive sins like
I know that
wrath,
guy.
sloth, gloom,
I know this guy.
and envy. Really just reveling in it like you're some kind of punished
From
Shadow the
Roblox.
Hedgehog. And gameplay-wise, it'd be a great excuse to make a sin based around poison. And maybe throw in a poison that affects SP too for good measure. As for madness, this feels like it could be an enlightened but warped fascination like the more constructive sins of lust, gluttony, and pride. Maybe throw in wrath for spectacle. It gives me this whole vibe of being between a mad scientist and zealous prophet that drank the Kool-Aid one too many times where they have this kind of god complex. I think it'd be a lot of fun for them to have their status be a self-given one that evolves, like the Blood Fiends had that gets fueled every time they clash, whether or not they win. That way, they're like a conspiracy theorist on the internet. They win by getting both good and bad attention. It also feels like a great opportunity to make a twisted version of Shin, which would go a long way to making... Oh, right! We still haven't gotten to Shin yet. Man, I bet some of y'all have been waiting a while to hear about that, huh? Well, no time like the present.
Shin and Mang, one name
If
for
the
country.
sins represent the unhealthy coping mechanisms people have, then Shin is a more virtuous power derived from, going to therapy and practicing all that feel-good mindfulness-ish people were on about back in the 2010s. I joke, but Shin is an especially rare and unknown practice, because it's the only one in the PM Light power system that needs to be intentionally trained. As shown in Leviathan, Shin is manifested by clearing the user's mind of thoughts and focusing on a specific memory, and channeling that into energy that the person can then manipulate in a variety of ways. We see through passives in Kantos 6 and 8 that Shin can be used to maintain a user's mental well-being through SP. In Kanto 8's cutscenes, Zilu shows that she can use Shin as a form of armor against Lei Hang's one free
damn,
hit,
can you
and
get
both
some
Lei
armors?
Hang and Merceau's Lei Hang ID use Shin as a means to increase damage up, power up, potency and counter statuses, convert attack coins into unbreakable
That's a
coins, and
lot.
make the user faster. The point is, this is a very versatile power.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll see it used in many ways, both in
You know what kind of reminds me of? Like, it feels like Shin is the Haki and the Saints are the devil fruits.
IDs and enemies later on, but of course, the most notorious use of Shin is in creating Mong. These
Why is
rings of Shin, referred to as Lunas in Leviathan, Mong is one of the most potent weapons in a Shin user's arsenal. To put it into perspective, of the 8 known Mong users in Limbus Company, the Sinners have only been able to beat a guy who could barely manifest a single Mong after using a golden bow power. Meanwhile, most of the furry community has been shown using 2 Mong, Virgin
So that's among the Ring of Light.
the Indigo Elder are capable of at least 3, Jashu can create 5, and Damien can not only make 7, but also Lunas that are larger than his whole body. This man's has been training in the sensory deprivation tank and reached the wettest lunar nirvana possible to accomplish this kind of
So this is Gojo.
feat. But let's suppose you knew how to use Shin and wanted to create a Mong. How would you do it? Well, our first showcase of Mong is still our best example. In chapter 12 of Leviathan, Virgilius clears his mind of all but a single memory of a past Christmas at an orphanage. And I'll let him speak for himself here.
Rummaging through this bag of memories, I carefully fumble around the recollections and pick the heaviest and densest ones to fill my emptied head. A group of children about half as tall as my waist gather around me. Boxes wrapped in colorful papers prepared for the kids. Snow-covered streets celebrating creation. Emotions that may be trivial to others, but that are far more plentiful than I deserve. I remember every single moment of it. I engraved all of them into my eyes. The Luna of hope I felt that day.
Isn't that the daughter or something? I don't remember. But isn't that the one that I don't know?
And the Luna of despair I felt that day.
By focusing on the memories a person holds closest to them, they can generate lunas of Mong by isolating emotions they pull from that memory. In this case, Virgilius created two with the emotions of hope and despair. And no matter what the Dead franchise tells you, neither of these emotions have to correlate with sins. They're described more like virtues, showcasing simple,
Virtues.
undisguised feelings
Ooh.
that generate this power.
The
And
seven
one
virtues.
Mong generated for both hope and despair here, suggesting that the more a person is capable of processing a
Imagine they introduce a new power system called the Virtues.
memory, the more Mong they can create at once. This emotional stability also brings up an interesting trend. The less experienced Mong users tend to be more brazen than the more skilled ones. While not a hard and fast rule, I think it's a great bit of storytelling that the more a character feels like they speak softly and carry a big stick, the more adept at wielding Mong they seem to be. That idea is also supported by the fact that many of the more powerful uses of Mong are considered gentle, where little to no force is put behind them. Both Verge's and Jashu's attacks are called out in a similar way, where Verge makes it clear that rather than his body, his mind is what moved to use this attack. As such, this suggests that the more vicious attacks we see with Mong from Lei Hang and the Furries are less effective than the more tranquil executions by Jashu and Damien. So in short, Shin and Mong are the first set of powers in PM that are trained through finding your own sense of emotional peace and channeling it on command. And that just leaves us with one question. What can we expect from Shin and Mong in the future? Well, considering that Kanto 9 is coming up and has many signs that it'll be about the fingers, the fact that we are just now getting teasers on how the pinky works, and that every
know what
character
that
we've
is.
met in their ranks uses Shin in some way, it's very possible we'll be seeing more Shin and Mong in practice by either them, another finger, or Demion's crew. Cause, you know, the new Blue Man group really likes making an entrance in the odd-numbered Kantos, and they talk like they snort Shin before every meeting. Hell, if Ryoshu gets pissed off enough, we might get the pleasure of getting choked by that Mong too. But that's about all I got on PM's modern power system. It really does feel like a more thoughtful expansion on what we already have. If
Yeah.
Bobby wants to go the whole 9 yards and
This lightning, I don't know what this is, but I will assume that it's related to Carmen, I guess.
talk about the first wave of the light, a summary of the pre-light power systems, and maybe a spoiler-free overview, but we'll wait and see if we got time to put those in their own tours. But for now,
But yeah, I think that's all right. Yeah. We get to learn a bit more about the sins, but it seems that envy is still one of the most mysterious one. And then we got introduced to a new sin, which is I forgot the other one. What is
to
it?
do fatal damage to an black and white, and known about these suckers aside from Limbus to date, but
Angst
still
and
exist in the game.
madness. Okay, that's angst. I don't know how to. I don't think I will remember that. Madness is easy to remember. Angst is not a really word that I would really say sin. But yeah, interesting. So now we know that the light, the Shin and Sinner and Sin are different power system that is kinda related to a certain light, which is that light thing. I don't know what that light is, but both their powers are probably related to that. But the difference is that Sin is more based on trauma, while for Shin is more for virtue or any strong good memories or something. Interesting. I think tomorrow, I don't know, maybe not tomorrow, but I'm going to watch this one next, I think, to know more about distortion and ego. Thank God that he explained what distortion and ego is. Actually, now I able to understand how it works now. But I guess the karma thing is probably the big spoiler, right? Sorry. But yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Please enjoy, please subscribe. I'm to see more of my content. And yeah, peace out.